like, literally nothing happens in the first hour of it. Like
it is an hour. It's 2.5 hours long, and it easily could have cut an hour without losing any plot points.
I think
the pacing of of course, the pacing of every scene is excruciating. It's just the things that they show the people doing are the kind of things that are generally you find in like 80-minute movies that cost like $50,000, where they realized halfway through shooting it that they didn't have enough material. And so, all right, we're going to have a lot of shots of people walking into offices. That has all of them. All of those shots are in here. And it's like, what is the thought behind this?
It seemed to actually switch like what we were watching, like how drastic and weird it was. When they were having the girls' lunch and talking about like boyfriends or whatever, I was like, are we watching 30-something now?
Okay, so this was, this, again, telling on yourself, they were replicating the pacing of someone, your girlfriend, describing her day at work.
Oh, God, oh, God!
And I like that.
Oh, my God,
Felix! Oh, my God! That's the most misogynist thing. That's the most misogynist and true thing anyone has ever said on the show.
Oh, shit.
That's amazing.
Oh, God.
That's exactly what it is. And then I met this new girl, and like she's kind of boring, and I think she's like obsessed with me. It's, oh, God, Felix, you figured that out.
Okay. All right. So then next plot beat, the introduction of Pedro Pascal's character, who is
I love him too.
Latino Donald Trump. That is all you need to know about his character. He is Donald Trump, obviously a blatant 100% stand-in for Donald Trump. But here's the thing,
said
though.
At one point, I'm not a con man, I'm a television personality.
Exactly. Yeah. He's like a TV sort of pyramid scheme guy who has just donated like a lot of money to the Smithsonian and is getting a VIP tour. Here's another question. I literally don't know the answer to this question. He is immediately like focuses in on the wishing dildo, and
he knows about it.
Is it ever explained how he knows about this magic?
No. They at one point they go to his office and they find a bunch of evidence that he was looking for, including newspaper cutouts of like crimes that he committed, like jewelry thefts he committed to try to find it. But how he found out about it in the first place, why he's looking for it, never explained.
Or why he believes that it has magical properties.
Why he believes it's real and not just, there's a lot of like most people when they see a fertility statue at a museum, they don't break into the museum because they think it'll make them like get knocked up. They think they could get some money from it. The reason that he thinks that it's real is never explained.
Yeah, and the reason he knows what it would, for example, look like or recognize it, or he doesn't show any interest in antiquity at all. And I thought maybe, but I couldn't tell, it was alluded to that actually his oil well scheme thing was actually an attempt to search for it or something.
I don't remember. I don't get it. But like his character is like, okay, he's this flashy sort of like TV huckster guy who is like, as I said, Latino Donald Trump. But here's the thing about this. The weird thing about this movie, though, and we'll get into it as we get to the end of this movie, is he's clearly supposed to be a stand-in for Donald Trump. But in the moral universe of the movie, you're supposed to feel sympathetic and bad for him. And we'll get to the reasons why.
With him trying to be a good man, Project Dad.
Yes, it's like all he really wants to do with the wishing stone is to have his fraudulent business become successful, and so that he can be like his son will be proud of him. And like another key Donald Trump thing is that like he comes back from the Smithsonian, he's got this flashy suit, he goes into this big fancy office, and he's like cruising through the lobby, okay, going upstairs, and then he goes into his actual office. And it's like bare strip walls, bills piling up that he's not paying. And you're like, oh, he's not really a billionaire. He just plays one on TV.
Yeah. It's incredibly heavy-handed, so much so that whenever I couldn't explain like the presence of like a plot point that went nowhere, that's not a plot point, or something happened, I was like, oh, this is them trying to jam in the Donald Trump parallel. Whether it's relevant to the plot, be damned. Like I was like, that's how I got through this movie, and then I'm like, oh, it's just because they're trying to make a Donald Trump movie.
All I could think about as regards to Pedro Pascal character and how this movie treats him is I remembered something Palma told me about sort of a folk saying in El Salvador that roughly translates to "God will never allow a Mexican to prosper," and that is the message about in this movie as it relates to Latino Trump. God will never see a Mexican prosper, and that's the thing. Like he wants to use the risk. This is the weirdest thing because Pedro Pascal is technically the villain of this movie, but he has no actual villainous or evil motivation for any of the things he does. The only thing he's really guilty of is like wanting to be successful and taking a shortcut to get there. But he doesn't. He's not like he wants the wishing stone.
Son,
like
literally, he's a divorced dad trying to impress his son, and it's like buy a Ferrari.
Aha! Here's the answer to this question though, and Felix, I'm sure you'll have thoughts on this. The actual true villain of Wonder Woman 1984 is men writ large.
Yeah.
The only actual villains in this movie are guys who do street harassment, who say "smile, sweetie," and talk over women in the workplace. Yeah. They're the only characters that appear that have any menace or actually like evil, malevolent motivation to their behavior. Whereas Pedro Pascal's character is, like I said, a strangely sympathetic portrait of Latino Donald Trump.
Okay, so yeah, there is another villain, and it's Pedro Pascal's toxic masculinity, because he's too into the toxically masculine aspects to be like a self-made billionaire like Lori Powell Jobs or Mackenzie Bezos, and he's like thinks he's too good to work hard like they did. And the thing is, I've dated women I'm not even sexually attracted to just to hear their stories from work. It's the most exciting thing to me, and I got a liminal thrill out of this. But it did the moral of the movie. Let me first say that the Wishing Stone is the most intelligent plot device I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's the smartest thing.
It's so tidy is the thing.
Yeah, it's like it sews up any plot holes. It's very smart. And the thing is that it showed, I mean, okay, not just like men are the villain, but also like women who turn into a cat to impress men are the villain. And we've, of girls I've dated who've told me stories from work, this happens a lot, actually. A lot of women will turn into cats, so men will think they're cool. And it's, similar to people like Rosario Dawson who, do support, metaphorically turn into a cat by supporting like sexist politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about.
Right. And it's because they're jealous of like better women.
Yes.
Who don't have a boyfriend just because they're really still stuck on this guy from 70 years ago. So that's the only reason. Okay.
So the thing, as we will get to, so Kristen Wiig's character gives a VIP tour to Pedro, and she's horned up for him. Like Kristen Wiig's character, like her motivation is
for everybody, because she also is clearly horned up when she meets Diana. Yeah. She's like, oh yeah, DTF, and then she meets Pedro Pascal. She's like, yeah, fill me up. She's just like everybody she meets, she wants to fuck.
Kristen Wiig's character is about how femcells can break bad.
Yeah. I mean, like the true depiction of this character though is like this woman would be in real life a serious sex nerd.
She would describe sex as play.
Yes. And she would have so much of it. She would have a harem of early computer programmers.
Yes.
They would be fucking paying thousands of $1984 for her polyester panties. Like, she's a hot girl who is into a whole bunch of nerdy shit and has like an incredibly impressive job. Like, nerds don't exist in the adult world. I don't think people understand this, at least not when they're hot women. Like, you can be a nerd if you're a hot woman. It's fine. Like, you're not a marginal person.
Why was this movie set in 1984? Because it was before they invented the red hair dye that Carrie from Mythbusters had. And if you watch the post-credit scene, Kristen Wiig doesn't die. Like, she comes back from being a cat and invents that hair dye in a science lab and then invents being a sex nerd. Yeah. And so she never has to become a cat again.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this movie literally ties up everything, and you guys are complaining about it.
So tidy.
Okay,